All right, post-game show. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips is here, I think. Jay Phillips, are you here?
He is. I am. You are.
Jay Phillips is here. If you're watching the video, the guy bouncing in the producer studio is Jalen Tart.
Yes. How y'all doing? Well, don't say how you doing, but I'm back.
He's back. Jay, you can say Happy New Year to Jalen again if you want. You did last week and the week before.
Happy New Year to you, too. I'm glad you're doing okay.
First time. Thank you. Yeah, we're getting there, man. We're getting there.
All right, well, I tell you what, last night for the first 30 minutes, we had a bit of a snoozer, and then that thing kicked in like Major League in the third and fourth quarter, and we had ourselves a football game that was quite compelling, Jay Phillips.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. And, yeah, it did get off to a rockier start. I think that's probably because, Miami, listen, man, I want to give, before we get going fully on the winner, I'm going to give Miami some props. I'm going to detract from them a little bit too. But, Terry, I think we didn't – maybe for both of these teams, we didn't give them enough credit for what they did. I mean, I still think there were people going into last night's game who thought, it's just Indiana. Right. I think when you look at how Miami beat A&M – and then Miami beat Ohio State. Does anybody even remember who Miami beat in the second game of the playoffs? It's
right.
You know what I'm saying? And not only did they beat them, they dominated Ohio.
Yeah.
When Ohio State played Indiana in the Big Ten title game and then Miami in the playoffs, Ohio State did not have answers on offense.
Nope.
And quite honestly, it was one of the reasons that I wasn't sold on Julian Sayin and some of those guys. I don't think they played a lot of tough teams in the Big Ten. And when they played good teams, they got beat. Anyway, Miami has dudes up front on both lines. They do. They have a lot of guys. Cristobal has done incredibly well in not only recruiting them but developing them. And those guys are gonna make a lot of money, just like the days of yore when Mario Cristobal was a part of Miami championship winning teams. And I think they had answers for Indiana in ways that that Alabama and Oregon did not. And then I think Indiana figured a couple of things out. And then I think Miami figured a couple of things out. And away we went, Terry, as you said. Both teams, even if they never really did, and I think they kind of did. Of course, we had Fletcher hit the one home run ball for a touchdown. They wanted to run. And I think Indiana was a lot more comfortable in putting the game in Mendoza's hands than Miami was in Beck's hands. And I'm not going to sit here in any kind of told you so way. But Terry, I know you're not. Jalen, I know you're not. I know a lot of you listening aren't, and people around the country aren't surprised that the ball game basically ended on a Carson Beck interception.
Right.
And I think it's one reason that Miami, despite having guys like Tony who were ready to get out there and make some differences, they needed to get the ball in his hands. They didn't want the game in Carson Beck's hands. And so they kept running, and they tried to find a way to get Tony involved a little bit here, there. Obviously, he had his touchdown as well. But I think when it mattered, they just, unlike maybe a game or two in the playoffs, including the Mississippi game, I don't think that Cristobal was comfortable with Carson Beck having to go win. I could be wrong. I could be. And if he makes a better throw, but that's just it. If he makes a better throw. Right. But on the other hand, man, Indiana up front, forgive me, I forget the kid's name that flinched. I mean, his shoulder moved about an inch, and he got called for the 5-yarder on second and short that made it third and medium, and that was a difference-making moment in the game. It didn't cost them ultimately, but it was something. But once the teams got going, Mendoza making those back shoulder throws that only his guys can go get. Becker, a hardly recruited kid who stayed around at Indiana, becomes the darling of the receiving corps. I was enthralled with this game, Terry.
Yeah.
And I know I'm kind of rambling here about it, but I'm such a college football nerd. I love this sport, and I'm just so thrilled for Indiana, for its massive fan base, by the way. Largest living alumni base in the United States. Did not know that until a couple of days ago. I figured it was up there. I didn't know it was the largest.
I'm not going to lie. This week is when I first knew that, too, when they were talking about it during the week leading up. I was like, well, I didn't know that. All right.
If you had said to me that's probably a top 10, I'd have said sure. Because, again, I know some people that went to Indiana, and I know it's a huge school, but I did not know. I mean, I would have figured Texas or Ohio State, maybe, and put Indiana and some of those Big Ten schools in there. Michigan State is huge. Anyway, but Indiana becomes here's the thing that's great for the sport, and what I hope can continue, and we'll get into a lot of this. Indiana, and many of you heard this, I'm sure by now. Indiana is the first new college football national champion since Steve Spurrier in Florida in 1996.
Wow.
Think about that for
Everybody in between is a repeat champion in some form or fashion. Everybody in between.
And they're the second undefeated team since BYU to have a perfect season. That's incredible.
Well, but guys, we're disrespecting that Yale team of 1894. Come on now. Come on now.
Yale,
16-0 Yale team.
To go 16-0, Yale.
16-0.
Yale.
Way back.
Excuse me.
Of course, back then they finally said, why the hell are these kids playing so many games? So they were worried about player safety even way back then, I guess. But nah, man, great. Look, it might have been ugly, but ugly can be great. And I thought it was a fantastic game. Took us till the last minute of the ball game. Got what we wanted as neutral fans. And if you're an Indiana fan, I'm thrilled for you. If you're a Miami fan, I think your school is back in contention. And away we go in a new era of college football. But I loved that game last night. I was up till way past I should have been after 1 o'clock. Just reveling in the moment with no dog in the hunt, other than seeing the elation that Indiana fans had and their players and Signetti for what they accomplished, because it's tremendous. And again, I think it's fantastic for the sport of college football.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I'll be honest, I might as well have bought myself an Indiana University a hoodie before that game, because I was all in, babe. I was rooting for the story. And I was rooting for the history, and I was rooting because they seemed like a lot of really good dudes. And, look, we questioned Indiana last year because that soft schedule. We made fun of them when they, ran off Virginia, even though Virginia really should have won the ACC or at least finished second in the ACC behind Miami. We made fun of them when they ran off Virginia off their non-conference schedule before the season started. For me, though,
and I still might pick on them for that. By the way,
yeah,
just
that
a
was
little bit.
still.
I got a lot more respect for who they are, but I still might pick on them for running away from Virginia.
I won't lie. I mean, I really started to think, wow, these guys might be not national championship for real, but man, they might be really good. When they went to Eugene, and they beat Oregon. It wasn't fluky. They went to Eugene. They were the better team, and they just beat Oregon, and really beat Oregon physically. And I was like, wow. That's impressive. And then you saw they escaped some games on the road at Iowa, which is always a rock fight.
The Penn State game.
The Penn State game. Penn State's talented. They just basically, I don't know, got screwed up from the neck up. But that was a talented football team. And, again, Indiana survived. I think when they beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game in the fashion that they beat Ohio State, I went, ooh, these guys are, seriously good. And I think I really started rooting for him, Jay, when they skull-kicked Alabama. And I was like, oh, my God, they're 2 wins away from history. I mean, this is, serious now.
Yeah.
And
they did. They took it. They took it to an Alabama team who I'm not saying that Alabama wasn't prepared, but I don't think any of the Alabama dudes had any idea that they were getting ready to see a team like that. I think they were probably,
it's Indiana, whatever.
Black ran all over them and put them in his own black hole, y'all.
I'm going to tell you.
Crazy.
And then you have the Oregon rematch. Look, and then we always saw the stats of rematches and all this stuff. And Indiana went, yeah, rematch this. And what they did to Oregon was an assault in 42 states.
It was worse than the regular season beat down that deep.
Yeah, I mean, I think
big time.
When they beat Alabama, I was like, that's what I was on board because I wanted history. Because I wanted a team with, by the way, 7 4-stars and 1 5-star. Right. That's it. On the whole bleeping roster. And then Mendoza, God love him. He's a goober, but he's a likable goober. And how can't you like that story? And, it's just one of those things, too. And this is where I was really starting to, get my whole Indiana fandom going, which, by the way, it will be over by the start of next year. But it's just the idea that here's a team, Jay. When Kurt Signetti walked on the court at Assembly Hall and say, I win, Google me, they were the worst college football program in history.
Yep.
The losingest program in history. You fast forward 2 years later, they're holding the trophy. I mean, you and I were going back and forth on this earlier today, getting ready for the show. This is, forget college football for a minute. This might be the greatest turnaround we have ever seen in sports in general in this country. It's unbelievable.
In the short amount of time that it's happened, too, is insane.
That's what I mean, 2 years. Do you know his 27-2 record is unmatched for a start of a coaching career?
It's insane.
Right. The closest thing is Urban Meyer. And Urban Meyer, by the way, that's called the Ohio State, right? This guy took a basketball school who, when he took the gig, they were, 3-9. They went to quadruple overtime with Akron. Run this through your skull. Akron. They make tires. I mean, my God. This story is just, that's why I was all in, man. I'm not going to lie to you. I was rooting like nobody's
absolutely.
business.
I think it's fantastic. And I, you and I were talking, and those of you listening even, if you want to text us, 803-404-6100, it's open to debate, obviously. But seriously, what do we, as American sports fans, compare this to? And I'll borrow from what I heard, on the Dan Patrick Show this morning. They had Miracle on Ice. When that happened, I was 9 years old. I will still remember it like yesterday, how huge that was for the entire country. The 1983 NC State basketball win, and Terry, you and I mentioned that real quick. That was a thriller. But NC State, as a basketball program, had won a national title less than 10 years prior to that.
Right.
So you can't really say that because what you just said about Indiana is not an opinion. That's a literal truth. Mm-hmm. They were the worst program in terms of wins and losses in major college football. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. That's a fact.
And they've been playing football since, I think, the late 1800s, and they had a winning percentage of 419. Yeah. Think about that. Yeah. 419 winning percentage in the history of the program.
And then the other two they had were the Cubs of, I think, what year was that, Jerry?
15, 16
Cubs.
Yeah.
And then 2016 Leicester City in England, which is probably the best comp, but even then it's pro sports. Mm-hmm. But Leicester that season was 5,000 to 1 to win the Premier League. Indiana was, by comparison, a rather robust 100 to 1 to win this year's championship. They probably should have been higher, and even some sports books have admitted as much. But again, I think a lot of people are also
didn't buy in. Right. It was a cute story, but
I don't know what else we compare it to. I really don't. I just don't know what the comps are in terms not only of taking something so downtrodden and lifting it at all, but lifting it in a matter of 2 seasons to the literal top of the mountain. So it's awesome.
The last bowl game they won before this year was a thing called the Copper Bowl, if you remember it.
I remember it, but I
won the Copper Bowl. It's insane. I think that's why I was rooting so hard for the story, because I wanted to see them finish this thing and just put a cherry on top of the history. And it was, I mean, again, now don't get me wrong, starting now they are no longer underdogs. They're now looked at totally different. But for this moment, everything just rolled itself together. We're going to talk more about this coming back. A lot of different stuff. And one thing we want to hone in on is the thought around this country when it comes to college football. There are fan bases looking at their athletic programs and saying, well, if Indiana can do it, why can't we? We're going to get into that today as well. Post-game show, Jay's here, Jalen's here, it's Terry Ford till 6 on the game.
All right, Jalen, I'm back. Sorry.
We're talking a ton about what happened last night in Miami Gardens here on the postgame show. Jay Phillips, Terry Ford, Jalen's here punching the buttons. You know, Jay, and that's the one thing about it. Look, there was a lot of big moments last night. And the thing about Indiana, they didn't play their A game last night. And we talked about this on Friday. You know, I thought Miami would cover, but Indiana would win because I thought Miami on the line of scrimmage was really good.
Yeah.
And Miami,
and you nailed it, by the way. Well done. Well done.
Well,
good.
you know what?
That's a good pat on the back.
I'm 1 in 104 this year, so I'm doing really well. It's the idea. And the funny thing was, though, it was really strange. In the first half, the Indiana defensive front they dominated Miami's offensive line. They have 69 total yards in the first half?
Something like that, yeah.
And then Fletcher popped that run, and the whole game changed. And, you know, then it kind of flipped, right? I mean, you know, then all of a sudden the Miami offensive line was getting their way, and Indiana could get no pressure. I think Carson Beck, you ready for this, Jay, was pressured on only 18% of his dropbacks. That was it. They could get he had all day to throw in the second half, by the way.
And yet they still, I think, his staff didn't trust him enough to go win the football game.
Well, they did. You know what's funny about that? We'll stop there for a second. You saw, and this is a it's a backhanded compliment, what my uncle would say. That team started to win when they relied less on Beck and more on the running game and the defense. Because remember, Beck had all those picks in the 2 losses. And Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator, said, everybody probably just said to himself in his office, I can't rely on that guy. What can I rely on? My running game, my offensive line, and my defense. And you even saw it in the college football playoff, Jay. They really didn't ask him to go do anything until they absolutely had to, like in the Ole Miss game. So, to your point, even though he was getting no pressure and no heat, they would rather not have him try to win or lose a game for them. And let's face it, he made an awful decision at the end and ended up being a pick.
Yeah, still not sure if he I don't know. And, you know, he wasn't available after the game. I don't know what he did or didn't see on that one, but that was, you know, it was almost like one of those 3rd and longs that a lot of teams throw, Terry, where you kind of loft it up there. And, hey, if it gets intercepted, it's like a punt, no big deal. Only in this case, it was a huge deal. I'm just not really sure what he was doing there. And, again, he's prone to some of that.
Yeah.
And I think it reared its head at the most inopportune of times.
I'll tell you this. I'm watching the game with my son, my youngest guy, and we're sitting outside of his dorm room at American University. and we're watching it on the phone, right, in the car. God, I love technology. And Miami's matriculating the ball down the field, right? And and it was roughing the passer. I mean, it was obvious roughing the passer penalty. And that would have been a 3rd and 15, and instead
they called that 15-yarder. By the way, they didn't call the one where Mendoza got his lip split. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, Mendoza got his face taken off almost. That was. Yeah. I understand why Signetti was hot at halftime. But so now Miami's moving the ball, and you had Indiana make an uncharacteristic mistake there. They made an uncharacteristic mistake on the 2nd and 1 illegal procedure. And now here comes Miami moving the ball into Indiana territory. I looked at my kid. And I said to him, I got a bad feeling. Unless Carson Beck does Indiana a favor, Miami's going to go down the field and score and win this damn game. And the next play, Beck throws the interception. And my kid's like, well, Beck must have heard you, Daddy, did you a favor. But I'm telling you, I'm watching that thing play itself out, Jade. I'm sitting there going, if Beck doesn't make a mistake, I don't think Indiana can stop him. And Beck made the mistake throwing. And again, Greg McElroy broke it down nice last night. It's almost like a 2-on-1. You got 2 Indiana DBs and only 1 Miami receiver. Why would you make that throw in that spot? You had no reason to. And so thank God for that.
I just don't think he saw the safety.
I don't think
really
so either.
I don't think he ever saw the safety.
And the corner did a nice job of cutting to the ball. And it was just good defense and just a bad decision by Beck and a bad throw. But I'm telling you, Miami. They were controlling that possession.
They were
until that pick, and so that was. All I'm saying, me being an Indiana fan for one day, and I was. Thank God for Carson Beck and his bad decision.
I was just surprised that they did not run the ball at all. Like when they got past midfield into that final drive, they didn't run the ball at all, and I was like, "This is what got you back in the."
That's the only thing I can think of. They just didn't. They didn't have timeouts, and I think they were trying. They were going to, and I think I remember. Indiana called their final timeout, and that's when Herbstreit said, and I agreed, they're going to have to seal the sidelines, the Indiana defense is, and force Miami into the middle of the field. But I think Miami got worried, Jalen, I'm with you, because they could. But again, they almost at that point had to trust that Carson was going to be able to do something for him because they couldn't afford to let the clock run. Terry, I wasn't quite as dire as you were. I'm with you, though.
I was dire, Jay. I was dire.
I thought perhaps because Indiana does a nice job in the red zone of sealing off things that again, you weren't going to be able to count on a Mark Fletcher home run ball to win the football game. Beck was going to have to do something. I didn't necessarily think he would throw a pick as much as I thought the way Indiana had defended him throughout the night. I'm just looking again. He was 19 of 32, well below his season completion percentage. That they would find a way to seal off the guys that he would want to go target first and foremost. That might have to take something else, a tight end or something else, to get open for them to get some kind of big play. Instead, again, and when he threw the ball, listen, they were moving the ball, but that I think that ball was snapped on the 45 or so.
Yeah, it was between the 40 and 45. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were getting there, but yeah, Jalen, I'm with you, but I just think they were out of timeouts. Yeah, I just think they couldn't afford.
Because if you get stopped without getting that first down, then the clock's not your friend. But let's do the flip side of this. What kind of onions do you have to go for it on 4th and 5?
Man, bro.
I mean, I will not lie to you. I was sitting there going, maybe you take the field goal here to stretch your lead, but to Curt Cignetti's credit, he went like this. No. I want a bigger cushion. We're going for it.
We're going for all of it.
I liked that they back and forth, and he admitted it. He was like, well, we weren't sure, and we thought about the field goal, and then we knew we had a play. And we decided that that's when we needed to dial up the play. And I think he also knew, even though he didn't say it as much, he maybe said it a little bit later, I got my guy, Fernando, ready to go make this thing happen, and I know that he's going to sell out for it. And the kid did. Because I honestly, in the moment and the angle, when he got spun at around the 5 or whatever, I just, because it all happens in a flash, I thought that he had turned almost because he had dropped the ball. I was like, oh, my God, did he fumble? And then I realized, no, he just got – and then he picked himself back up, if you will, and more figurative. And then and then got himself into the end zone. But for just a split second, I thought, oh, God, he fumbled it. He was trying to turn around and chase it, and that's when I realized, no, he just got hit that hard.
And I thought the same thing, too. I thought he fumbled it the way that he was able to stretch to get the ball over the pylon, but it was just a big hit that Miami delivered, and he just held on to it. But
I mean,
that's an all-time play that we saw in real time.
Yeah, it was
crazy.
It was. And, you see him, and the block by Coog in the center is really nice. And then Mendoza cuts off the block. And once he gets the first down, I'm not going to lie, I'm like, okay, that's enough. You got the first down, dude. How many times have we seen guys fumble by trying to do too much today, right, Jay?
Right.
And I'm like sitting there going, okay, man, you got the first down. Don't leave the ball hanging. Don't be Josh Allen.
I was just about
Don't leave the ball hanging.
Incredible. It was incredible.
And then when he dives in like that, and you're just like, what a bleeping run. Oh, my God. Insane. Again, look, give Cignetti credit for going for it. Obviously, the execution of the play by the guys in front of Mendoza blocking, and Mendoza, doing what he did, which was obviously unbelievable. That was just that play, though. I mean, I was
phenomenal.
Going, man.
That was phenomenal.
4th and 5, dude. I give you props.
That told me that he is ready to be an NFL quarterback. Just that alone, that moment, I was like, yep.
And I'm going to tell you what, he throws the nicest back shoulder I've seen in a long time, man. It's beautiful. You even know it's coming and you can't stop it. I will come back. We will focus on what we brought up, and we didn't get to it this segment. Now, everybody thinks they can be Indiana. Let's get into that next on the postgame show. Jay, Terry, Jalen here on the game. Dr. Dan, the folks at the Men's Clinic of South Carolina, we've been doing this for years now, talking about what Dr. Dan and the folks can do for you. And look, you're a guy, and, it's life. It's just changing. You don't feel right. Physically, could be emotionally, whatever the case may be. You got the blahs. You're just not yourself anymore. You want to get some answers. Call 803-875-MENS. Set up a free confidential consultation at the Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Tell them what's going on with you. And they could have the answers. It could just be low testosterone. They will find out for you. They'll give you a free testosterone test, by the way. And if it does come back low T, they'll put you in a program specifically designed to get you back to feeling you again. It's the Men's Clinic of South Carolina, 803-875-MENS. Go in, tell them your story. They will listen, and they will do everything they can to help you out at the Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Jay, Terry, Jalen here on a post-game show on your Tuesday. Okay, I just saw a blurb. Ready? Quick trivia. Ready, Jay?
I'm ready.
The last coach to win a national championship within his first 2 years on the gig.
Last coach.
Signetti did it last night, obviously. Who's the last one to do it before Signetti?
Dennis Erickson?
No, this is from ESPN. Ready? Gene Chizik.
Okay. What year was Really? So Erickson didn't. I guess the last
Chizik
one.
did it after.
Last.
Yeah, Chizik did it after.
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
the last.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
The last,
I'm sorry.
Gene Chizik.
Yeah. All right.
How's he doing at Auburn now?
Well, you know what, Gene Chizik. God bless you, Gene. God bless you.
Yeah, you bought the lottery ticket.
You don't deserve the credit that Curt Signetti deserves.
Absolutely not. Not in a second.
For what you did, because not only did you have Cam, you had Nick Fairley too. I always remind people you had the Outland Trophy winner
yeah,
too.
Nick Fairley was a monster in college.
You know, Nick only wanted to play about a good quarter and a half of hard football, but it always mattered when he did. So,
but anyway, I just saw that blurb. I'm like, I purposely forget about Gene Chizik a lot. So when it popped up, I went, oh my God, that makes sense.
Terry, there's probably Auburn fans that have to go, who was the head coach?
Right. Sort of like Cowboy fans.
You had Cam. Cam.
It's like when
who cares who the coach was? You had Cam.
It's like when the Cowboys won the Super Bowl with Barry Switzer. Yeah,
right.
Whatever.
Yeah, Barry Switzer gets credit for being one of the four, right? He gets credit for being one of the four that's won both NFL and college title.
I don't even count him. I don't even count him.
Count.
Troy Aikman coached that team. Anyway, anyway.
Jimmy Johnson was still coaching them.
Sure.
He just wasn't actually there.
Right, he was calling.
Yeah, but then Jarrah was coaching.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Well, Jarrah will tell you that.
All right, I know what you want to talk about. So forgive me as I jump in here, because I wrote down on my notes, and I told you we were going to save it for air. Typically, Terry and I, again, we commit radio crimes by often having the entire conversation during our show meeting as opposed to having it on the air. So today I was like, all right, we're just going to hold it. But I wrote down, Terry Ford, that it is a blessing and a curse that Indiana won this national championship. It's a blessing in the sense that, as we've talked about, it's a hell of a story. And those of us who love college football, at least most of us that love college football, look at that and just really see a fantastic situation. Again, they will write a book and make a movie. They will. I don't know when it'll come out, but they will, and they should. But to your point, and, I saw Andy and Ari talking about this last night. I watched their live show, and I've seen others saying it today. All right, now if you're fill in the blank and you aren't a blue blood, you feel like you can do it. Well, this offseason, Terry Ford, there will be dozens of fan bases and dozens of school presidents looking at his or her AD and head coach and their fan base and going, all right, our turn, right? So if you're South Carolina, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Virginia, I don't know, maybe not North Carolina because he had Bill Belichick, but maybe North Carolina, but, Purdue, Minnesota, Arizona. I could go on and on, but you get the drift here. All right, well, if Indiana can do it, we can do it. And the short answer is, yep, you can. But what are you going to – here's the thing. What I think we're not doing, and it does a little injustice to Curt Signetti, that man clearly, Terry, has a way that works. The whole I win, Google me, that wasn't bravado. I mean, it was a little bit. But, again, it was backed up with his records at his prior stops.
Yeah.
He wins because he gets his players to buy in to a fundamental mindset where the first thing that you do is make sure that you don't beat yourself. And how often did you and I talk about that this past season, especially around here? The number one thing you better do is control the controllables, right? Coaches love saying that kind of stuff, but how many of them actually can pull it through? You know who does? Curt Signetti.
Right.
Which is why it was so shocking last night that they had a couple of 5-yard penalties. Sometimes 15-yarders happen. Sometimes 10-yarders happen. You know what doesn't happen to Indiana teams? 5-yarders. Those are the ones that don't happen because those are the ones you can control.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's going to be a lot of fan bases now that think we can, and they can. And in this new era, of being able to go out into the portal and supplement your roster. I agree. But again, blessing and a curse in the sense that while it has been done and been proven to be done, there's still only one champion at the end of every season, Terry Ford. That's what I do know. That's also a fact. There's only one champion. Now, you can still be really good and be proud, but it's going to be a lot harder than people think to go do what Indiana just did.
Yeah, look, and the thing about it, I've loved these last couple weeks where, all of a sudden everyone is focused on Indiana. And it's like, okay, how'd this guy do this? I mean, there are people going, they got to have a Connor Stallion somewhere. That was funny last week. But, what it comes down to is they don't do a lot of fancy stuff, but what they do really well, and they execute it to perfection at times. They don't beat themselves. They force you to beat them. And I tell you, and this is one of those things that's unbelievable. They are phenomenal on third down on both sides of the ball. Yeah. And but they do basic stuff. They just execute so well. And you're like you said, they don't beat themselves. Look, that was the mantra of the Patriots under Belichick. We don't beat ourselves. Sometimes the simplest stuff we miss because we're looking for that shiny thing or the big, cool, complicated thing they're doing that nobody can figure out. No, what they're doing that's refreshing, Jay, in this new world of college athletics is they're old school.
Yeah.
It's chemistry.
Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells, who taught Bill Belichick. I mean, it's the basics, man.
It's just the basics, man. Chemistry, development, execution, just culture, all those coachisms that people roll their eyes at. That's what Indiana is at a high level. And you think about all these people they bring in and Cignetti's production over projection. That's why he likes the portal and experienced dudes. They all come in and they buy in.
I was going to say, it feels very nostalgic, like a 1980s style team feel to it. I mean, he's very chill, relaxed. He's not in your face. He's not like a Lane Kiffin where he'll make a joke and people would buy into that. He's just a straightforward, chill, 64-year-old man that knows how to get it done. And then when he gets it done, he wants to drink a beer and sit on his recliner. So that's what he's going to do.
Have a cold beer. I'm going to go have a cold beer. Yeah.
And
I mean, how often, Terry, have I talked? And sometimes it's in jest, not to pick on them, but really just to just talk about how simple it was. But I talk about those Nebraska Tom Osborne teams. Again, I'm only half kidding when I say they only had about 12 plays.
Right.
They ran them to perfection. And you couldn't beat them. And also, they had 300-pound dudes up front on both sides of the line. You couldn't beat them either. You know. And then here's practice. Good. Run it again. Good. Run it again. Good. Run it again. And they hated Tom Osborne on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then on Saturday, they went out and won 45-3.
Yeah. I mean,
and Indiana's doing that a lot themselves. Again, it's basic stuff, but basic stuff just took them to 16-0, man.
Right. And I just, it's one of those things too. You get all these guys coming in, and this is not as easy as it sounds. We saw 2 years of this in South Carolina. 2 years ago, Shane hit the portal, brought in a bunch of grown men with families in minivans, and they almost made the playoff, right? Last year, they brought in guys from the portal, and it didn't jive, right? It just didn't. So again, it's more than just, he brings all these guys in and they're all veterans. No, you got to bring guys in who buy into your culture, who care more about the front of the jersey than the back, all those cliches. You got to find guys who are veterans, who are mature, who are good players on the field and off the field. They're grown men in a locker room. Again, the formula's there, Jay, but it's not as easy as it sounds.
Well, it is, and I know we got to hit a break, so we'll talk more about this at the top of the hour. But I mean, for Carolina fans, I do think that this brings reason for hope, if not only because of just that it can be done, but to your point there within, Terry, two seasons ago you were almost there, and I think Shane learned a lot about what that almost needs to be to get over the hump. Have they done it in this portal? We'll talk about some of those additions too, but Carolina should be one of those schools people look at and go, hey, you can do it too. Now, easier said than done, but the odds say Carolina and Indiana are equals. I'll explain further in just a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Sure. And before we go to break, Shane even told us that he learned about veteran experienced guys from this past year, if you remember when he was yipping with us at Christmas. So he gets it, absolutely. All right, we'll jump back in here, continue more of this discussion about the college football playoff last night. What does it mean in the bigger picture? Maybe to South Carolina. That's next here on the Postgame Show. All right, talking a ton about what happened last night in the college football playoff as Indiana wins the national championship. Saying that out loud is really weird. And it will not be unweird for a while. Before we get back to our conversation, Jay's here. Jalen, let's go to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Justin has been patiently waiting. Justin, my friend, welcome to the postgame show. How you doing, pal?
Good, good. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Hey, Justin, what's up, bud?
Good, good. Hey, guys, give the credit. They're going to frustrate Miami, and they did. They said, listen, Miami, you're going to stop us. We're going to go for it. You're not going to stop us. And they did. And they frustrated Miami's defense all night long. And you're right. And Miami, they've been having to show Big Ten opponents, and that's just Ohio State 2002. And that's what Ohio State did in Miami 2002. We're going to frustrate Miami's defense. And they did. So, and they, and you're right. Watching soccer do the same like any day, and you can do it. You just got to believe it. And take care, guys. Go Gamecocks.
All right, thanks, Justin. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana, look, there's a formula there, and Kurt Signetti said it to Holly Rowe at the beginning of the game, and he said it to her at the end of the game. You know, we got to go out and make one more play, and I think they did. Maybe one or two more, whichever ones you want to look at, as we've all agreed, and I think the nation agrees. You know, Fernando Mendoza's touchdown run on the draw play on 4th and 5. I mean, Terry, that goes down ultimately, you know, not quite yet, but it's going to go down as one of the most iconic plays in college football history. You know, where it stands right now, I don't know. I was trying to think of some great plays. You know, as a lifer around these parts, you know, my favorite play still might remain Brad Edwards' pick six against Clemson. I'm not saying it's the most iconic. I think of Robert Brooks' one-handed catch against Georgia. I think of Brandon Bennett over the top in Athens. I can think of others here and there that were big. You know, Connor to Bruce in Columbia, Missouri. You know, for locals, but and I know I forget JD's hit on Michigan's kid in the bowl game, but you know, those didn't win championships. They were big, they were fun, and they, you know, for around here. But I think of like Run Lindsey Run, you know, with
right.
You know, Larry Munson in Georgia, you know, or I don't know. There's a host of them in the NFL. You know, Joe Montana to Dwight Clark or something like that, right?
Sure.
You know, just these iconic moments, and Fernando Mendoza delivered one last night. So there was that. But again, just getting after Beck when they needed to, and then forcing him into a bad decision when it mattered most last night. They were there for it. You know, I think because I think Miami is a lot better than we gave them credit for. Again, Miami dismantled Texas A&M in College Station. Miami dismantled Ohio State. And then they had to go toe-to-toe with a really good Mississippi team, who, by the way, finished third in the poll. If the new poll is out, we'll get to that a little bit later on. But I mean, Indiana's just better than you, man. They won the football game. They're better, and they won it. They won it last night.
Yeah.
Miami didn't lose it.
Nope.
Indiana won the football game, and you're right. It's going to be. It's going to be tough to get used to saying it, but it's real. And that's why, I was reveling in it last night for them.
Yep.
And I can't wait to talk to our good friend Ben Portnoy, who I haven't talked to him today, but I don't know if Ben has slept. I don't know if I would have slept. I don't know if any of us would have slept.
I mean, has Ben sober yet? I mean,
well, you know, I don't know. I might not be sober yet either.
I wouldn't be, that's for sure. You know, the thing about that win last night, Jay, is, you know, again, they didn't have their A game on offense. They only averaged like 3 yards a carry running the ball.
Right. And credit Miami for that.
Yeah, Mendoza made some big plays in big moments, but overall, they had kind of shut that down. They scored on offense. They scored on special teams. Their kicker made the kick. Their defense made the play to get the turnover. You want to talk about complimentary football in a championship game where maybe you're not running at A+?
Yeah.
That's what happens, man.
And let's not forget the block punt for the score, right? When they only rushed 3.
I know.
They only rushed 3.
Unreal. So, yeah, we'll talk more about Miami. And we got some South Carolina transfer portal news coming up at the top of the hour as well here on the postgame show. CHW Cabinetry, it's a new year. We're still in January. We can say that. It's a new year. Maybe it's time to put some new cabinets in. It can change a room. That's what they tell me, the experts on this kind of thing. So call CHW Cabinetry, 803-520-6837. Star and her crew, they do this thing called photorealistic renderings. You just talk to them, go in and see them, tell them what you're looking to do, cabinets inside, outside, whatever room, whatever style, your budget, your thoughts, your goals, they will make it happen for you. And these photorealistic renderings will take you through beginning to end on your project. So simple, so easy. The customer service, second to none. The quality of work, second to none. 803-520-6837. Give the crew a call at CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. Get it done. It's a new year. Get some new cabinets. Set up the room nice. CHW Cabinetry. All right, post-game show, hour two. Jalen's running the controls. Jay's here. Terry Ford as we go till 6. here on the game. Appreciate you hanging out with us. South Carolina.
Hey, can I say something real quick? Can I say something real quick?
No, you can't.
Let the man say
you
something.
realize that this is the first Tuesday in 9 Tuesdays that I've been on the air?
Has it been 9 straight Tuesdays you haven't been here?
Yeah.
Has it been that many?
I don't remember it being that long though.
Man,
Tuesdays were my treatment days, and my treatment is over.
Which is good.
So, it's. I was thinking about that today. Like, man, usually on Tuesday, I've been at the Duke Cancer Center, seeing the great people that have been taking care of me, and today I am now with you guys.
Well, I'll say this. No
I don't know if that's a good trade.
Hey, exactly. No offense to the folks at Duke, but we're glad you're here.
No, but we're getting there, man. And I told you that I was going to ask, and I'm going to try. I go back to Duke for another full-body CT scan the first week of February. But if they'll let me, I'm going to try to at least come in and do a little bit of a show maybe one day next week. I don't know if I'm quite there yet. That's up to them, not me. If it was up to me, of course, if it was up to me, I'd be doing a lot of things that I probably shouldn't be doing. But it's not up to me. It's up to them. As I've told everybody, they point, I go. But if they'll let me, maybe I'll come say hey a little bit next week. So we'll see. But it is nice that my treatment. It's kind of hard to believe, man, because there were times, and Terry, you and I talk almost every day. Yeah, there were a few times when it felt like I was crawling. But now, in retrospect, like, man, 2 months of chemotherapy is over. And now we're hopefully on to the bigger and the better here in the not-too-distant future. But it's nice to be doing a show with you on a Tuesday for the first time.
Absolutely. I didn't realize it was 9 straight, man.
It was
me and Terry been holding it down.
Yeah, the last Tuesday show I did would have been like 9 days before Thanksgiving, that Tuesday, because my first day of chemotherapy was the Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. So that's how long it's been, man. So, yeah, or how short it's been, again, depending on one's point of view. But I bring that up just to say, hey, I'm glad I'm working, and thanking you guys, you two, and everybody at the station for looking out for me, and everybody who continues to send well wishes. But thumbs up. Again, I'm feeling better. I really am. I'm getting there, man. And hopefully we get some good news here in a couple of weeks, and we're on the way to whatever the new normal for my life looks like. But I'm excited about where we're headed, despite all things that I've gone through. So good to be here, man.
Amen.
Well, man, good to have you here on a Tuesday. I didn't realize, man, been that long.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Man.
Crazy.
Well, good for you, and hopefully we get a lot more Tuesdays, man. We get this thing going.
That's the goal.
Yeah, get you cooking.
That's
get you
the
back
goal.
in here.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. So we can make fun of you in person.
Please.
I won't do that. Terry can do that.
I'm all for it. I assure you. That's what we do. That's part of the gig.
That's part of the gig. Absolutely. All right. Transfer portal for South Carolina over the weekend. Some more additions. A guy that was here as a walk-on left and is now back with was it DJ Black? I guess that was
DJ
Jay?
Black. That's the hard one to pronounce.
Yep, that's
DJ
a tough one.
Black.
Ready? I'm gonna try it. Ibubedeki Nabugwu.
I think you're close. I think it's Ibubadike, but yes, Ibubadike and Ibugwu is the way to do it. So nice going, man.
I got in the neighborhood. I
think you did well. Yeah, nice going. Big. He's a biggin.
He is a
as
biggin.
we like to say. Yeah. Coming from Delaware State / Missouri State. Missouri State was his last stop. 6'3", 305. Has 2 years. So they've added a lot. 25 guys they have now added through the portal. And I looked, and this isn't me being cynical. This is I'm just borrowing, if you will, from the On3 transfer portal rankings. South Carolina has improved in terms of what they've added relative to what departed, but not by a lot, Terry. Going by the rankings and the scores they give players, South Carolina, I think, has an average score now of 67.6, and they're losing like 66.5 or something. So, Again, that's an average.
Right.
They've certainly upgraded at a few other spots at a much higher rate. But so, I mean, did they get better? Yeah. How much? It may depend on the position group, but I think more than anything, what Shane and the staff are looking for is, again, a lot of bodies that want to come in and compete. And I did think it was interesting, and I know they didn't get a chance to, but apparently there was some late movement to try and retain Michael Smith. I read that. I think Wes Mitchell had a piece on that, or at least one of the boys at Gamecock Central did, if not Wes directly. So, Wes, if I quoted you, sorry. But they did bring in Max Drag, a local product from Chapin, but he's more of a blocking tight end. So I still wonder if that's the one spot where they maybe could still use a little more or might want a little bit more as a pass-catching tight end, or maybe they just feel like what they'll have coming back is good enough, and they can continue to have Sean and Mike Furry develop those guys accordingly to be better pass catchers.
And we talk about, we've been discussing who came in, and those on-3 numbers are interesting. Obviously, it's sort of like almost a wash, a little bit better than what you were.
A little better, but yeah.
Here's my question to you. Who's the one guy that you hated to see go that's gone?
Michael Smith. Of all those guys, I mean, Michael Smith, I would have maybe said Josiah Thompson, but he came back. Mm-hmm. I still think Kason Henry is a good offensive lineman, and I think he's going to a good program with Jeff Brom in Louisville. Mm-hmm. I do. I think they'll get somebody that they can utilize. I like Kason, and again, experienced Southeastern Conference lineman starter. He checks a lot of boxes. But I like, we talked about Michael Smith a lot last August. And it just, he got hurt. It didn't happen for him, and that's unfortunate. I mean, injuries are part of the sport. They're part of all sports. But if I'm looking at the list right now, and I'm looking at the departures, yeah, Terry. I mean, Dre Jacobs a little bit maybe. I like Tree Babalade.
Brian Rowe.
And Trevon Ball. Trevon Ball's going to A&M. I mean, let's see what kind of competition they have.
Right.
But Michael Smith's going to Mississippi, and he's going to be part of that offense. And I know it's a different offense now, but I would imagine that Pete Golding, even if most of those offensive staffers are leaving, that they will try to do their level-headed best to keep the basic tenets of that offense in place. And I'm sorry, I'm looking here out loud, so I don't mean to be silent here on radio. But since you asked me, I'm looking at the departure list. Like I said, Desmond Umeozulu, I liked. He's going to Bama. Again, Dre Jacobs is going to Miami. Tree to Nebraska. Trevon to A&M. Michael Smith to Mississippi. But I like the flashes that Michael Smith showed us in the year prior as a versatile pass catching tight end. And I might say, considering what they brought in to replace some of those guys, I don't think they've replaced Michael Smith.
No, and again, John David Baker, the new OC at Ole Miss, remember, he was the guy at East Carolina. They were putting up a ton of points and moving the ball and picking up yards. So they'll find a way to use Michael Smith's athleticism, there's no doubt. I'll throw one, and Jalen whispered it under the Brian Rowe to me was a loss.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes you feel better is like the Jaden Sellers sort of popped in that slot role when Rowe was suspended for a game. But Rowe, do not be surprised if you see you look at the UCLA stats next year and see Brian Rowe putting up numbers. Don't be surprised.
Right.
He's got some game,
I don't
man.
Disagree.
He's got some game.
They did, yeah. That's true. I don't, again, it's a. Once you ask me, and I actually look at the list, because again, my head went to Michael Smith, and I'll stick with that. But instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I might be able to go like 1A through 1E for a couple of these guys. But there's some guys, but I get it. That's the world we live in now. But I do think they brought some guys in that can be some pretty good like for likes. I think they upgraded on the tailback room, which is good. But I like those pass-catching tight ends that we've kind of gotten accustomed to, and I'll be curious to see what that looks like next season, and especially how Kendall Briles wants to utilize that room with what he's got.
Yeah, look, obviously we love the fact they went out and got a bunch of offensive linemen, and some guys who, obviously like a Peak, performed really well at his last stop, and also Poku, the East Carolina transfer, is interesting. And who they retain, Jay, we every now and then forget to circle back to that. Keeping Sellers and Stewart and Harbor were huge. I'll be honest with you. We didn't talk about this. You kept your linebacker room. You kept Gabriel Brownlow Dindy. You held on to Vakari Swain because he might be your starting corner next year.
He would be one of them.
You know, Matthew Fuller and, you know, Jawan Howell stayed at running back. Obviously, the big story was Josiah Thompson coming back. But, again, you kept all those young receivers besides Rowe. I thought you would lose, too.
Sellers popped. Yeah.
I like Murph. I tell you what, Murph is a guy to keep an eye. He was supposed to be in high school last year, brother.
I know.
Think about that. And when you first see him, you're like, my God, that kid was in high school? Really? So, I mean, they did keep some key pieces and key parts, especially, and you and I have hit this drum. And this isn't to say everything's okay. It's not okay until you hit the field to start the season. But to be 4-8 and to hold on to the talent you held on to and to bring in some coaching that really improved your coaching staff and hopefully really improved your offense, and to have a top 20 recruiting class when you were 4-8. That's some good off-season work. It really is.
It is.
Man.
It is, and it shows commitment. Again, like I say, it says as much right now about Jeremiah Donati's ability to make sure Shane has what he needs, Shane to go out and do it. Again, I still believe that Shane's got a lot of good strengths, but Shane is a hell of a recruiter. And I think that shows on the coaching side and the player side. I genuinely believe that. You know, now you got to go get it done. And while, as I've said, Terry, and I got to, you know, I'm not trying to ride the fence when I say what I'm getting ready to. You know, and this audience knows, I do not like stepping down a level or so, if you will, in terms of scheduling. But and circumstances being what they are, South Carolina has a couple of games to open next season that they should absolutely win. And that will allow them to get their feet wet and start to learn this new offense in real game situations against teams that will not have as much talent. So it is what it is. I'd rather not see it. I'd rather Carolina open with a team that just played for the national title in Miami.
That would have been fun, wouldn't it? That would have been fun.
It would have been great. And I know a lot of people are going, Jay, you're an idiot. And that's fine. You call me whatever you want to call me, but I like big-time games. I'm just in it for that. But that's not going to happen. And that's, again, as Steve Spurrier says, it is what it is. But you know, nevertheless, Carolina has done a nice job in this offseason, but that's only going to go so far with a lot of people listening right now, and I get it. I've already had a few people say, yeah, Shane's won the offseason. Good for him.
Right.
That doesn't mean much, and I know where they're coming from, so let's see how they do. But I do like a lot of what they've done, and I think this staff is hungry to go prove that they know what they're doing. You know, and really, let's talk about retention. You retained Clayton White.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You lost Sterling Lucas, but you replaced Sterling with Dion, and you brought in some good guys on the offensive side, too. So, I like Sterling a lot, but I can't help but think that you might have upgraded up front when it comes to the coaching staff as well.
Yeah,
so,
you also upgraded.
Now,
it feels like
you
the
got Trey Money at linebacker, which I think takes a little bit off of Clayton's plate and allows Clayton to be even more hands-on across the entire defense instead of the teaching position that he had, if you will, within the interior of the defense. So there's that part of the equation too. So I think all of those things are very positive for Carolina football.
And again, the thing that Shane told us at Christmas, he's like, one thing you learn from this season, you have experienced guys. You have grown men, mature, experienced players. And you look, team that just picked up the trophy. What do they have a lot of, Jay?
Minivan drivers, as you like to say.
Dudes going with their wives over to Home Depot.
That's right.
And Joanne Fabric or Michaels or whatever.
Hobby Lobby.
Oh, God. Beat me in the head with a pitchfork. All right, we'll hop back. Where do you want to go next, Jay Phillips? Your turn. Pick it.
Well, all right, so we got to talk a little bit about the NFL, and I know who I pull for, but I don't know how you guys feel about a play that seems to be controversial, but I suppose that depends on one's point of view.
We'll get to that next.
The replay office in New York.
We'll talk NFL playoffs next. Postgame show, Jay and Jalen and Terry on the game.
has a chance to take his team to the championship game. Here it is on the way, and the Denver Broncos have won it in overtime.
And that was a football game.
Yeah, that was fun.
Denver in overtime over Buffalo, 33-30. That thing was crazy and wild and back and forth and insane play after insane play. And Denver wins. I want to, real quick, before we get to that play we're going to talk about, was it an interception, was it not? I got to give Sean Payton credit, man. Every time Buffalo had one of their DBs get hurt and had to come out, and the Bills had to put a backup defensive back in, Payton attacked them.
Yeah.
At least two touchdowns off of that. Do you want to talk about a master class of coaching and play calling and recognizing the opposition? That was incredible, man.
You and I talked about that, as did many, but you and I talked about that last week before that game, that with where Bo Nix is in his development, this was going to be as much about Sean Payton making certain that Bo had the offense in the right spot as it was about Bo executing those things, that Sean was going to – and there were a couple of times when Buffalo's defense had Denver locked up. Denver could not run the ball. I mean, Bo Nix was the leading rusher.
Right, I know.
And Denver likes to run, and Sean's been doing a nice job. By the way, J.K. Dobbins might play this weekend because –
well, it should be very nice for your team. Very nice.
Yeah, and I thought Harvey did an okay job, but Buffalo didn't let Denver run, and so that matters to Bo Nix in terms of how he gets set up. And obviously now, I had to make sure when I saw it that it wasn't one of those fake Adam Schefter accounts when I saw the news the first time. So that was tough to see, but we'll see what Stidham can do. Again, it's going to be it's still going to be about Sean Payton. I mean, as much as anything else.
It could be a repeat of history where Carson Wentz goes down, and then you get Nick Foles to kind of do
that Brady fella a few years ago.
You had Jeff Hostetler come in for Phil Simms years ago.
Yeah, I mean there are cases of it, and the interesting thing about it is, look, I mean, I remember Jarrett Stidham from his time at Auburn. He was good. He wasn't great.
I remember his time in New England. Yeah, that didn't go well.
Yeah, no, but here's the thing about that, Terry, that I think is interesting is that working with Josh McDaniels is why Sean Payton likes him so much. And apparently there were other teams that wanted to acquire Jarrett Stidham in the offseason. And Sean, in so many words, made sure that Denver paid him more money to keep him, knowing full well that he was going to be the number 2, and he wasn't going to compete for the number 1 job. But in reading about how he prepares and what they like about his game, and again, what we know of Sean Payton and the quarterback whisperer that he is, there's reason to believe that there won't be just a precipitous drop off from Bo Nix to Jarrett Stidham.
I think
there may be. I don't know. Here's the thing: Jarrett Stidham, by the time he throws a real pass this weekend, it will have been like 2 years and 2 weeks since he threw a real pass in an NFL game. So in that respect, that's troubling.
I'll say this, though, and I think you nailed it. Look, there's a reason Jarrett Stidham's a backup. And Sean Payton knows that as well. And this is on Sean Payton to draw up a game plan, knowing what Stidham can do and he can't do, and what'll get Stidham in trouble. Sort of like Bo Nix, same kind of thing. And if you can get Dobbins back, who when healthy is a really good back. I mean that's what you're hoping for because, again.
What you're hoping for is that defense gets after Drake May.
Well, the defense is going to have to force turnovers. They're going to have to sack Drake May. May has been a little loose with the rock in the postseason. You're hoping you can take advantage of that. You can't get behind by multiple scores, obviously. The little dumb things like winning the field position battle and blah, 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 and making New England kick field goals and all those other things. Because, again, you're not playing with your starting quarterback, and that stinks. Especially, what was that, next to last play, 3 plays till the end, whatever it was when he got hurt.
Yeah.
It was rough. So we'll see what happens. But, I mean, it stinks that you lose your starting quarterback going to the AFC Championship game. It just really does.
It hurts.
I want to go back to that play.
Okay.
On the pick. And I actually went back and watched it again today like 4 times. And when McMillan, if you didn't see it or didn't watch the game, It was in overtime. Buffalo wasn't that third down, Jay, like 3rd and 7 or something? And Josh Allen went deep.
Second or third down. I can't remember now. I think. But
and Allen went deep, and really Brandon Cooks, the wide receiver, had a step. If Allen leads them, we're not having this conversation. Allen underthrows it a little bit. Nix turns to get it, and then you get the interception by Jaquan McMillan, and there's a lot of controversy over the interception. You're a Broncos fan. I'll let you go first, and I'll get to mine.
Okay, so I'm going to try to do this. Look, first off, it was an interception. All right, that's what it was called.
Yep.
That's what it is. Now, look. When I was watching the game in real time, first of all, I let out an expletive and said, "Oh no," because I thought that Brandon Cooks caught the football.
Right.
And when I see Jaquan get up with it, I'm like, well, I don't know here. But then they almost instantly show the replay. And here's where I come in with the technicalities. All right, we've all been taught when we watch this sport that the ground cannot cause a fumble, right? But the ground can cause an incompletion. Now, I'm not saying that factors in here other than to say Brandon Cooks comes down. Jaquan McMillan has his hands on the ball too. As Cooks hits the ground, the ball comes loose and into McMillan's hands, who gets up and secures the football. Now, that's clearly what the replay booth, or excuse me, the replay, whatever you want to call it, replay room, replay center. I don't know what they call it, Terry. The NFL, but it's over there in Saddle River, New Jersey somewhere. I don't know. It's not there in the building.
Right.
They got a centralized location now. They didn't even look at it that long, but they have to look at it because it's overtime, and every scoring and turnover play is automatically reviewed. That's a rule. That's not like an opinion. No, we don't have time. Sorry, Billy's out getting a cup of coffee. He didn't see it. No, they looked at it, and they looked at it briefly, and they were like, that's an interception. Dude came down, but he didn't secure the football, and the ball was controlled by the defensive player. Ergo, interception. So I don't have much of a problem with it either way. I know it was my team, but doing what I do for a living, I promise you, I can wear both hats. And so as soon as they showed me a second or third look of it, I was like, well, if you gotta survive the ground with the ball, Brandon Cooks didn't.
Right, and that was my thing, man. I mean, I watched, like I said, I've seen it a bunch now. And the more I watch it, the more it's like, because again, I really truly don't know what the hell a catch is anymore.
Exactly, and that's part of the problem.
What's insane, right? But by what the rules say a catch is, Cooks did not have the ball secure when he hit the ground. McMillan also had his hands on the ball as well. And dual possession belongs to the wide receiver if he would have held possession. But because the ball came free as he hit the ground, and all of a sudden it fell into McMillan's hands, McMillan then, basically, quote unquote, caught the football, and he survived the ground. So it's an interception by the rules, and my head's ready to explode trying to explain it. Because it's insane. But by the letter of what a catch is today, whatever it means, that was an interception. I'm with you 100%.
And that's why I think the replay office or whatever they want to call themselves, didn't really look at it that long, Terry. I don't think it needs too much of an explanation. And whether that had been, again, the team I pull for or not, I don't care. I'd have been thinking the same thing. I'm glad it worked out for my guys because, again, my first thought was, oh, crap.
Right.
And I really did think Buffalo's going to go win the daggone game.
Well, I'll be honest with you again. If Allen leads Cooks, because Cooks had McMillan beat by a step.
He did.
If Allen leads him, Cooks catches that, and McMillan probably tackles him, but it's deep inside Denver territory, setting up the game-winning field goal. And that's the part of it that some people slip. I'll tell you the second thing, too. When that ball was intercepted, by the way, Denver got it at the Buffalo 20.
Yeah.
It's not like Denver picked it off at the, Denver got their own 20, I'm sorry. They still had to go down the field. And I'll say this for the people who are talking about it, that was pass interference, it was roughing the passer. It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. All right, post-game show. We'll continue. We'll get a little bit about the NFL playoffs. We'll get to that next. We'll talk more Broncos and more. It was a phenomenal weekend for the NFL, by the way. We'll get to that next. Post-game show, Jay, Terry, Jalen here on the game. Let's check the traffic real quick. We got some accidents. Charleston Highway at Pine Log Road. Also, I-20 eastbound at I-26. That's exit 64. O'Neill Court at Decker Boulevard. O'Neill Court at Two Notch. And Two Notch at Sparkleberry Lane. We'll jump back in here, continue our conversation on the NFL playoffs, and circle back to a transfer portal bonanza for South Carolina. That's next on the postgame show. All right, coming up here in about 15 minutes, Jay or Nay here on the postgame show. Jay, while you and I are yapping, Jalen's got 500 different pieces of breaking news.
Oh, wow. Okay,
So,
let's do it.
All right, Indiana, Mendoza in the transfer portal. We'll start with that.
Yeah, Alberto Mendoza, Fernando Mendoza's brother, will be going to Georgia Tech. He just put that out on Twitter.
So, again, you look up and here comes Josh Hoover. Your brother's packing up to leave, and here comes Josh Hoover. You're like, I think I want to go somewhere where I might be able to play.
I mean, for Indiana, it doesn't really do anything different because they're getting Josh Hoover from TCU. So,
Right. So they're like, hey, Alberto, thanks a lot for everything. You
Yeah.
help us get your brother. We appreciate you.
By the way, I think I'll go back and look while Jalen's giving us the rest of the breaking news, but I think Indiana is number 2 in the team transfer portal rankings.
They're killing
Jalen,
the
you finish.
portal.
I'll look that.
You know, really quick, when Jalen gets us to that point real fast. I've had people about Indiana. Yeah, they just bought this team through the portal from last year with Mark Cuban's money. Well, Cuban didn't invest in the portal last year, from what I understand.
No, he did not.
no.
2, I looked this up last night just for fun. Indiana was barely ranked in the top 25 in the 24/7 portal rankings, and they were in the top 15 in the On3 portal rankings, but they were nowhere. They were not a top 10 portal team last year from the projections going into the season. Yeah, they got a lot of important pieces, but people weren't jumping up and down with all of it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
It wasn't like this was a iconic portal class that led them by being, I guess, the projections. It ended up being a hell of a portal class, but not many people saw that coming. Jalen, what do you got, man?
Yeah, so now to the NFL, Trayvon Diggs, who played with the Packers this past season, he just got released. Not really surprised. I don't know where he would be going, but not really a surprise there for Green Bay to let him go. And the Steelers, they just narrowed down their head coaching search to 2 candidates, Brian Flores and Mike McCarthy, which is very interesting.
It is.
Me personally, I like Brian Flores as the coach, and if they do get an OC, Mike McDaniel.
McDaniel, the word is, I heard this morning. McDaniel is going to go with Robert Saleh to Tennessee as some of that smoke. That's I don't know.
Interesting.
It's not official, but there's word that Saleh might hire Mike McDaniel if he doesn't get a head coaching gig, which he probably won't.
Well, Flores is going to fit the bill for what the Steelers have always done relative to McCarthy, and I just don't see the Rooneys wanting to step too far outside. I'm a little surprised that they haven't waited just a little bit longer. Again, maybe they just know they – and look, I don't know what they've done, Terry, behind the scenes, the Rooneys, I mean, in searching for their next head coach. But like I told you last week, Mike McDonald – I'd go lure him from Seattle because I think he fits the bill, or I'd try to get Marcus Freeman out of Notre Dame because I think he fits the bill. Both defensive-minded, young, and, again, leaders of people as much as they are great coaches. McCarthy, it goes against the grain. And Jalen, you might be able to look it up quicker than I can right now. How old is Coach Flores? I mean, he was in Miami for a few years.
I can look.
Really, that was he did a nice job. And
44.
You know, ironically, he did a nice job because it was during the time when the NFL forced terrible owner Stephen Ross to step away from the ball club for a little bit, and then when that went south, and McDaniel did okay for a while. Again, I think that's just. You've got a meddlesome owner who doesn't know what he's doing, and he lives in New York and comes down, and he probably comes in and yells at everybody after he gets off his yacht.
Yeah, he's a bad owner, man.
Then heads back to New York.
And remember all that stuff that was going on with Brady and all that other mess that was going on with the tampering. That was when Flores was there, and then Flores, remember, he's got that suit against the NFL. It was a mess. The one thing about Flores, he was 24 and 25 in Miami, had one good year, one mediocre year, and one bad year. I guess my thing, before I hire Brian Flores, we have to have a talk about your handling of a young quarterback, which, remember, Mike McDaniel had to come in there and rebuild Tua because Flores had tore him down.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, the quarterback's the most important guy on your team. You as a head coach, Mr. Flores, answer me a question. Did you learn from that? How do you handle a quarterback now?
Dan is uncertain, too. The locker room wants Aaron Rodgers back. They've all put in their case that they want Rodgers to come back. We got to wait to see what he's going to say.
Well,
but if he does not come back, this draft is not quarterback heavy is what we're going to see in 2027. So I don't know
they'll get somebody who's in the NFL now. I don't think they're going to look. I don't know what they'll draft. But they won't draft a quarterback especially because they'll be what are they going to pick around 20th?
Yeah, there's not.
18th?
This is not, to Jalen's point, not a great quarterback draft. By the time they pick, anybody you look at seriously is going to already be gone. And the Steelers
they'll get somebody they'll do the right thing, Terry. They'll get a Sam Darnold type, which again I like the fact, or a Baker Mayfield type. Go get somebody who's been doing it. My God, how about that? They developed a little bit.
Here's the thing, though,
God forbid.
and we all know this. What has hurt the Steelers is the fact that they can't get the quarterback position right. And that's what's pushed them into this purgatory of just good enough to get in the playoffs and then getting stomped every year, is they don't have a playmaker at quarterback. And God love Aaron Rodgers. He tried. My man's 40-some years old. I remember there was a couple times this year he'd break out of the pocket thinking he was still 25. He'd take 3 steps and go, I got to get to the sidelines. I'm going to get killed.
Right.
He's just, if you look at his numbers past 10 yards this year, it was not very good. Again, if you want to run him back, okay. But I just think at some point Pittsburgh's got to take a step back and how do we fix the quarterback position moving forward long term, because this patchwork hasn't worked of Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph and reaching for Kenny Pickett. That's what's really hurt this franchise, guys, is they can't get the most important position on the field right anymore.
Yeah, so
they better, but I don't think Rodgers is getting it right. It's not getting it wrong. It's just not
past his prime, man. It's okay.
No.
Now, I agree with you, though. If you look at the Steelers' history, it'll be Flores. Because again, Chuck Noll, Cowher was a special teams guy. Obviously, Tomlin, defensive guy. Noll was a defensive guy, played offensive line for the Browns, but nobody looked at him as an offensive guru. I think it'd probably be Flores. But I must say this about our boy Mike. If you look at his record, it's not much different than Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. And for some reason, this guy's getting looked at as a goof. And he's not a goof. He won. Look at what he did in Dallas. The only other coach in the Jerry Jones era to be as good win-loss percentage than our boy Mike was Jimmy Johnson. Mike just couldn't win in the playoffs in Dallas.
Exactly right.
That's the problem. But
that's a good coach. I like Mike McCarthy. I don't think it'd be a bad hire. I just think it would go again.
No, I think you're right. But I'm saying people look at McCarthy like, why the hell would you want to hire him? Look at his winning percentage.
Yeah.
Look at his trips to the playoffs. Things got sour at the end in Green Bay. I get it. But in Dallas, he won double-digit games multiple times.
Years.
They just couldn't win in the postseason. And look, somebody probably is going to hire McCarthy again at some point, and he'll win. But I love the narrative of him. If you look at his record, it stacks up with Tomlin and Harbaugh. pretty much with win percentage. All three have won one Super Bowl. Tomlin's been to a second when he got beat by McCarthy, by the way. So I just think the McCarthy narrative is funny. I'm not saying you were saying it, Jay. I'm just saying there are people, when you bring up Mike McCarthy, they give you bitter beer face.
Yeah.
And just to wrap it up, those interviews will be tomorrow instead of today.
Well, we were invited.
All right.
Jay and I were going. We were invited to sit in. Well, you got to Zoom, Jay. You can't be there. You got to Zoom in.
I'll Zoom in. That's fine. That's fine. I'm a little surprised, though. I thought they might be a little more patient and wait to see what happens this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But again, maybe it's just me. Look, I got no dog in that hunt. But
nope, me either.
I thought they might want to go for Mike McDonald, or at least see if they could talk to him.
Well, I'll tell you, the guy that came up quick was Chris Shula, the defensive coordinator with the Rams, but the Rams are still playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jalen, nice reporting. How about him out in the field, Jay?
Well done.
Thank you.
Nice work. All right, we'll pop back at a little Jay or Nay for our buddy Jay Phillips next here on the Postgame Show on the Game and the Game Network. All right, get some Jay or nay going here on the post-game show. Jalen punching the buttons for us today. Jay's here, Terry Ford. Appreciate you hanging out with us. All right, cue up some music there, Jalen. Let's get some game show stuff going here. There we go. All right, we're going to fire through as much. I got tons of Jay or nay to get to, so let's do it. Whatever I don't get to today, I'll get to tomorrow. All right. Okay. Sources say Robert Saleh will be the new head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Jay or nay on Saleh getting another head coaching gig?
I mean, he's going to work for a better group than the Jets, but maybe not by a lot. And I'm not so sure if I'm a Titans fan that I'm really excited about this, because I've got a defensive-minded guy coming in as I try to build around a promising young quarterback. I think I might have gone for somebody who was maybe more geared toward a less conservative style. I like Saleh a lot, and I know he's a good defensive coach. So if he to your mention earlier, if he can get a Mike McDaniel to come in and run the offense and let him be rather autonomous with it and develop Cam Ward properly, then I'd be excited. But otherwise I'm kind of, as the kids say, kind of mid on this one.
Well, low key.
I don't like it.
So you're not fire on this? You're not fire?
I guess I got to be Jay or nay on this. I guess I'm leaning nay.
You're nay. Sean McDermott gets canned in Buffalo. Jay or nay on that move?
No, that's a nay. That's silly. I'm not sure what. I mean, okay, if they win in overtime, he's not fired, obviously. Mm-hmm. Tell me how it's his fault. They lost. They had some injuries this year. Josh Allen continues to be Josh Allen. I saw Steve Tasker on the Dan Patrick Show yesterday really lamenting this in terms of culture and leadership and what Sean has done in the building. Feels like this is going to be a big void to fill. Not sure what the Pagulas were thinking. I think this is an A.
Well, the surprising thing to me is the guy that put together the roster that had the terrible wide receiver room and the aging defenders, Brandon Beane, got promoted.
Yeah.
Here's my question. What kind of pictures does that guy have?
Well, he's got to be some kind of Spengali. I don't know.
I'm telling you, man.
I think the Pagulas right now are really focused on the new building, and they think a new direction is what's right.
Get him over the hump, right?
I don't know. You're still, again, I think this is an A.
All right, ready? The Dolphins hire Packer defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley, who was the Boston College head coach only a few years ago. Jay or nay on that hire?
It's the Dolphins.
Terry scratching his head. That's exactly how I'm feeling right now.
I don't know. Sure. Jay, you know what? Let me beat. I don't want to be three negatives in a row. Jay.
Sure, why not?
Why not? It's the Dolphins. They're competing with the Jets. It's the Dolphins.
All right.
I mean, it's clear now. It's clear now that there is a big, giant line of demarcation in the AFC East. There are two well above it and two well below it.
Hey, you want to hear something really funny? Do you know who's the longest tenured coach in the AFC East now? I heard this today.
Well, I guess it's Aaron Glenn.
Mike Vrabel by a month over Aaron Glenn.
I was about to say Vrabel, yeah.
By a month over Aaron Glenn. Hilarious. All right, music. We need music,
and
Jalen.
Aaron Glenn does still have a job, right? The Jets didn't fire Aaron Glenn.
Hey, it's early, man. By the time we get off the show, who knows who the Jets coach could be. All right, Duke sues former quarterback Darian Mensah, who's trying to now go into the transfer portal, going away from the 2-year contract he signed, and just shortly a little while ago said he was coming back to Duke. Jay or nay on suing Darian Mensah?
It's the right call, Jay. The right call to sue him. Now, has he said? Have I in between while we've been on? Has he said he's coming back?
No, he's not coming back.
No, he didn't say
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, I misunderstood you then. Okay, yes. Then Jay, suing him is the right thing to do. He did sign his deal. You got to hold guys to their contracts, and this is the new era we're in. It's going to have to be a two-way street. I think a lot of the kids think it's not a two-way street. It is a two-way street. So suing him is, unfortunately, Jay, the right thing to do.
Philadelphia Phillies GM Dave Dombrowski says Bo Bichette spurning the Phillies to sign with the rival Mets was, quote, a gut punch. Is that a gut punch, Jay or nay?
I'm sure for the Phillies it is. For Jay, it's not. So, but he's going to the Mets. I mean, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another for me. So,
right.
Exactly.
The bigger gut punch is that my guy Kim down in Atlanta is going to be out till June. Apparently, he broke his finger or something back home in Korea. I don't know what he was doing over there, man. But I like Bichette. I don't know how much of a pickup this is. He's going to the Mets, Terry.
I know. You know what happens when you go to the Mets? Weird things happen.
I do.
Weird things happen.
So,
and I'm going to tee you up for this in our last so many seconds here. Reigning NCAA men's golf champion Michael Lasasso has joined Live Golf for going his senior year at Ole Miss and forfeiting his chance to play in the Masters.
Yeah, he does. I mean, at least wait until after the Masters, kid, because you may never get another chance to play in the Masters now. But the things he said, Live Golf, blah, 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 competitive. Okay, bro. Go make your money. This is America. Good for you. But it's a nay for me on what he did.
All right, a jam-packed Jay or nay. We'll come back in here. 5 o'clock news is coming up here on the postgame show. All right, let's check the traffic at 5 o'clock. We got an accident with 2 left lanes blocked, I-20 westbound at Broad River Road, exit 65. Augusta Road near I-20 in Lexington. At Gamecock Park at Bluff Road near Berea. Also, Faro Road at North Pines Road, I-20 westbound at Bush River Road, that's exit 63. We'll come back, hit the 5 o'clock news here on the postgame show. All right, 5 o'clock news sponsored by our Buds Integrated Media. Before that, let's say see you to our bud Jay Phillips here. Hey, man, nice work.
Yeah, I'm getting there as we build back up towards me doing 3 hours, but I will say it brought a smile to my face to hear that news intro for the first time in a while, man, because I'm telling you, I know that was – I keep saying it, but it reminds me that I haven't said it in a while to you and to this audience, but for all the great things that Terry Ford has done as program director of WNKT over the years, the single best thing he's done is the intro to the 5 o'clock news. I might touch my earpiece like this. I just it never gets old, Terry Ford. It never gets old. Nah, yeah, I'm gonna bow out and go catch up on a little rest here as I continue to get better. But again, first Tuesday that I have worked with you guys since the middle of November, so yeah, that's a sign of progress, man. So it makes me happy that we're getting there, Terry Ford.
Absolutely.
I appreciate everybody's support, and Jalen, you too, bud, and everybody out there. Awesome. We're getting closer day by day, Terry. We're getting closer.
Absolutely, man. Can't wait till we get you back in here, man. Baby steps. You're getting there.
Yep.
All right, my friend. Go lay down. Right. Take it easy. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3. All right, we'll see you, pal. Guy. All right. 5 o'clock news sponsored by Integrated Media. Obviously, a busy portal for South Carolina. Let's just describe it that way. Adding more folks over the weekend. I mean, depth pieces, really, in a lot of ways, which is fine. Ain't no wrong with that. If you go back and look at it, in case you missed the news, because it was such a busy sports weekend, it was insane.
Yes.
Max Drag coming in through the portal. Local kid, played at Central Florida, tight end. DJ Black started at South Carolina as a walk-on. His journey led him from Limestone, where he played for Mike Furry, to Central Florida. And now DJ Black is here to add to the wide receiver room. I'm going to try it again. I know I'm going to mess it up, and I apologize to this fella.
I don't have it in front of me, so take it away.
Ibubedki Nabugwu, offensive line.
That sounds
I
right.
Tried,
I mean, yeah.
I tried. I tried. From Missouri State, played at Delaware State, originally went to Dunbar and Baltimore. I'm going to tell you right now, you go to school in that neighborhood, you're a bad man. You are a tough guy.
Okay.
You've been through it.
Okay.
So, yeah, we will see what Nabugwu will bring to South Carolina. Again, started his career at Delaware State, then went to Missouri State, and now will be at South Carolina.
Just imagine what the practices will be like with these new transfers. You got Pete going up against these. Good gracious, it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting to watch.
You got a lot of folks coming in through that portal.
Yeah.
Also, in case you missed it, I believe was this Friday or Saturday, South Carolina added Armando Nieves, a 6'7" offensive lineman from New Mexico State as well. Again, it's craziness. But so if you missed some of these, we're trying to get you caught up a little bit on what happened when it comes to the portal and South Carolina. So that's the latest there. Also, interesting. I'm sitting here, and I hate when this happens, like Pro Football Focus. Well, all of a sudden, it switches on you and goes to, like, all-star games. You're like, well, what do I do here? Everything's blank. I paid my bill. I know I did. I pay for this thing every month. But anyway, Nieves, I want to get the grades real quick from New Mexico State. And again, they're not the end-all, be-all. We just try to give you a little snapshot of what we find. At New Mexico State, Nieves, his blocking grades, as I dig through here. Nieves, a 52 overall blocking grade, 59.6 run grade, 51.2 pass blocking grade. Let's see, 3 sacks on the season that Nieves gave up. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. 6 sacks and 28 total pressures. So we'll see what he does coming to South Carolina, new offensive line coach, new system, but a little bit of a struggle at sometimes last year for Nieves at New Mexico State. So Nieves also came through the portal. Ton of offensive linemen, obviously. We'll see how this whole thing pieces together. You have our guy Peak from NC State, who you feel like will be the starter at left tackle.
Yep.
That's why Peak was brought in. Good player, had a good season last year at NC State. So you figure that Peak will be the starter at left tackle. Look, right tackle's open. Could Josiah Thompson move to right tackle? Sure he could. Absolutely he could.
Yeah, then you have Emmanuel Poku and then Dane Arnett.
Mm-hmm. And Poku could be a starter at guard.
Yeah.
You need a center, which Carter Miller from Central Florida could be the center. Look, Jacarius Peak, that was an excellent get.
Yes.
An excellent get at left tackle. And in case you missed it on him, in some of these services, he was a number one tackle in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
So
the only thing I'll say is the health. That's my only fear, is that they sustain an injury before their journey starts, and then it's like, what do you do with plan B? But I think the class is, the transfer portal class, especially the offensive line, like what we've been talking about, elite. I like it.
You got a lot of bodies, and hopefully that'll build depth to your point of injury.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, if you look at, okay, let's say Miller is your starting center, and you have Peak, and let's just say for fun, Josiah Thompson does win the right tackle spot.
Yeah.
And let's say Carter Miller is your center. Then maybe it's, Poku from East Carolina and, Shed Surratt still here, who had some good moments as a freshman. So maybe that's the building block and the starting point of your offensive line. You've got a lot. And plus the kid Darius Gray, the freshman, people think that he could possibly play, even though you only want to play a freshman if they truly win the job. You don't want to play a freshman because you go, well, he might not be ready, but he's our best guy.
Is he playing the same position as
Plays
Pete?
guard.
Oh, okay.
He plays guard.
Okay.
So we'll see where all that goes, but you got a lot of offensive linemen that are new to that room, and obviously you've got to get guys, being able to play as one, and all that stuff we talk about with the offensive line. So we'll see where that goes. But
and the running back room is good like you said at the last hour, the tailback room has improved as well.
We've had a depth there to where maybe you got some options.
Yeah.
And so you got that going on. I love the Caleb Herring, the edge from Tennessee, coming in. There's some possibilities there, what he could do with more snaps. So, there's a lot to like here. I really, and finally, before we move on from this topic, there's a couple other guys in here. I like Sheed Scott, the defensive back from Kentucky, who can play the slot.
Mm-hmm.
And then another name I'm going to screw up. Tamiwu Durajayi, the interior defensive tackle from Illinois. Had a good year last season. So there's some interesting dudes that South Carolina brought in through the portal. All right. We'll get to more Gamecock talk as we hit the Gamecock Notebook. We'll hear from Lamont Paris from over the weekend. South Carolina losing to Auburn. We'll hear Lamont's thoughts on that, which are quite interesting. All right. Last night, obviously, Indiana wins their first national championship. Cue this up real quick, Jalen.
Gotcha. We're
going to get cut 12 here. Here's Kurt Signetti on talking about winning a national championship at Indy bleepin' Anna.
Coach Signetti, for the first time ever, the Indiana Hoosiers are national champions. What did it take to get here?
It took a lot to get here, but I'll tell you what it took to come out ahead in this game was a lot of guts. I give Miami a lot of credit. They played really hard. We couldn't get anything done couldn't protect quarterback at all. Made a few plays and adjustments, but they were back shoulders and a sprint out, got the run game going. Made the interception when we had to. A couple fourth down, we went for it. Mendoza, great run. Took some chances, found a way. Let me tell you, we won the national championship at Indiana University. It can be done, and I'm so happy for our fans. Words can't describe it.
Obviously, we talk about this through this show.
Yeah.
The historic moment that was last night in the history of college football, obviously, but just in the world of athletics, and we were trying to think of something earlier in the show, what would be close to equal to this? When Kurt Signetti showed up, this was the losingest program in the history of college football.
Yeah.
Had a winning percentage of .419. Had never had a double-digit winning season. And
They go undefeated and win 16.
27 wins in 2 years.
Yeah.
What Kurt Cignetti has done at Indiana is unbelievable. And, again, as I think I'm getting older and I'm starting to soften up as a human being, which I don't know if that's good or bad. Like last night, I'm watching this thing going, the word that kept coming up was belief.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody believed in them. I mean, let's be fair. If we gave them Falker Truth Serum before the season started, and you asked them, you think they'll win a national championship? Some would have went, sure. Some would have went, I don't know, man. That's a big leap. But look, nobody believed. Even this year, 100-1 odds. They were, 20th in the country preseason.
Yeah.
Everybody tapped them on the head and said, last year was really cute. Why don't you guys go back to being Indiana again, okay?
Yeah.
And they just got better. Cignetti went out and fixed the line of scrimmage and got better on both sides of the ball, on offense and defense at the line. Mendoza, a lot of people like that move in the portal. They thought that would make Indiana better at quarterback. But nobody said that guy's going to win the Heisman.
I didn't think he was going to win the Heisman. I was like, nah.
It's so corny, but it's so true. It's like sometimes, man, you put people together and it all just works. They buy in. It's a good culture. They truly are about team and not themselves, and they believe. They actually believe.
And it just felt like a movie with him saying the post-game speech at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Even if Mario Cristobal would have won, I kind of would see the emotion of him winning a national championship in the same area that you grew up and play high school football in, and that you won, you were known for the U. That would have been something spectacular as well. But for Indiana to win it the way that they did was just phenomenal. Yes, the game started off a little bit slow, but I got to tell you, I picked Miami. A lot of people were saying that I was crazy to say, what if Miami would have made it to the end? They did, and they almost won. And I said it from the beginning. I'll say it again. That defense, man, it's just something to fear for. And I think they're not going anywhere now. They got the coach. They got to get the quarterback fixed. But Malachi Tony is coming back.
Well, yeah, I mean, Malachi Tony's back. They're going to steal Darian Mensah from Duke because that's the world we live in. That's a dirty underbelly that we'll talk about not today.
And you get Vendrevis Jacobs.
Yeah, I mean, they get Jacobs to go with Tony, which should be good for Jacobs because Tony's going to be drawing coverages.
Yep.
Miami, we'll see if they're back. We thought Florida State was back a couple years ago.
And
how'd that go? So let's see if Miami can stack a few years like this. But look, Mario Cristobal got to the championship game. I never thought it would happen because Mario Cristobal, hell of a recruiter, not a good in-game coach. But to Mario Cristobal's credit, he didn't do anything to jeopardize his football team with in-game decisions. That defense is ridiculous.
I thought taking that second timeout was a little bit of a risk because I get why you did it, but at the same time, it's like you got to do what you got to do. But it would have been nice if you would have kept those two timeouts down the stretch, so you would have had at least one in a situation like what happened last night.
You just had nothing left in the pocket with timeouts. You couldn't stop the clock. You had to keep advancing the ball and getting first downs or get out of bounds. And look.
And they were getting to Mendoza. I've never seen Mendoza get.
Well, they pressured him on 34% of his dropbacks last night. And it felt like he was pressured even more. But Pro Football Focus says 34% of his dropbacks, he was pressured. And so, let's see, Mendoza, total pressures against him last night by, let's see here, 11 total pressures from Miami last night in that game. They got after Mendoza. They sacked him 3 times. Remember, he was 0 for 3 in the third quarter and was sacked 3 times.
Yeah.
But again, Indiana made all the plays. The 2 back shoulder throws, one on third down, one on fourth down. The 4th and 5 run by Mendoza for the touchdown, the block punt, the interception. Every time Indiana had to make a play, they made a play. And they won a championship. Just phenomenal night last night for the College Football Playoff Championship game. We'll come back. Gamecock Notebook. We'll hear from Gamecock head coach Lamont Paris. The men lose to Auburn. We'll get the head coach's thoughts post-game next here on the post-game show. Jalen, Terry here on the game. All right, Gamecock Notebook. Over the weekend, South Carolina got back at it, coming off of the embarrassing loss in Fayetteville. Gamecocks taking on Auburn. And we'll get to tonight here in a minute. But Gamecocks taking on Auburn. And much closer. I mean, this game was tight.
Really
South Carolina,
close.
much better effort on both ends of the court, especially defensively. It seemed like they got after it a little bit better. Still gave up way too many points in the paint. Too many layups, too many dunks. Look, we've talked about all year. Interior defense is an issue. And it doesn't seem like it's going to change. Offensively, again, not a great shooting night. 40% from the floor, 32% from three. Under 50% of their shots taken from three. 33 shots taken inside the arc. South Carolina was under 50%, though, 15 to 33. So you want to get over 50% when you're inside the three-point line. 20 times the free throw line, only made 13. So shooting was an issue, but South Carolina did out-rebound Auburn. Auburn was terrible from three, by the way, 2 and 19. But again,
the lid on that basket looked just small for Auburn. They just were struggling to hit.
But inside the three-point arc, 21 to 37, man.
That was the difference.
Again, layups and dunks. Auburn again, South Carolina has trouble stopping teams in the paint. They just do. Whether it's, a big in the paint or a perimeter player, taking the ball to the rack in the paint, whichever way you look at it, it's just a struggle for South Carolina to stop teams on the interior. And in the Auburn game, if you look at it, points in the paint, Auburn 42. South Carolina 26. 42 of the 71 for Auburn. All right, Lamont Paris post-game. Let's get cut one. Not the desired result, but a good response after Wednesday's tough loss in Fayetteville.
All right. Obviously not the outcome that we wanted, but the biggest challenge I made to our team was to respond in some ways that really didn't have to do with basketball versus relative to our last game. So I thought we did a good job doing that. Just competing, just managing bad things that happen during the course of a game, which happens to every team. I just think there were a lot of areas, normal areas, that I think some of our older guys particularly should handle better, and we did that better today. And that's a process of still getting better at some of that stuff, and it'll allow us to play better ultimately. So, it's a hard team to beat in this building. Thought we did some good things. Didn't play particularly well. We got the ball around the basket some. I thought the officials did a good job. Probably not too many people say that about the officials, but I thought they did a pretty good job. I mean, there's a couple plays here or there that probably both coaches were mad at. But overall, I thought it was a hard game. It was a physical game, a lot of driving and attacking. And, when one person's going really hard to the rim and one person has to do one of two things, get in the way or get out of the way. And so unless you want to give up 400 points in a game, you have to get in the way. And so there were a lot of collisions and a lot of physical play. I thought they did a pretty good job. But anyway, so we're still focusing on getting better.
I mean, yes, it was a much better effort, and thumbs up to everyone involved for a better effort. And again, we're not saying a loss is okay. It's not. We're not saying 10-8 is okay and 1-4 in the SEC. It's not. I guess for me, we're going to get another cut from Lamont. It's a head scratcher. You're 18 games into a season, and you're still trying to get some of these basic things better. I know you brought a bunch of guys in, pretty much a whole new roster, and maybe it's taking a little bit longer to get some basic things right because the fact that these guys weren't together last year. But you're 18 games into the season. Some of these things that Lamont's talking about should have already been handled. And you sit there and you go, wow, you're still working on that. All All right, let's get cut forward real quick. Not letting the game get away from them. Here's Coach Paris again post-game.
Yeah, we showed much more poise in those situations. That was one of the things that was on the board. Didn't have anything to do with basketball. Of all the things to handle, one was just a burst, a run that another team makes, and then you have to handle that. And what are you going to do? How are you going to respond to that? And it did look, there was one point we took a questionable shot or something happened. I think it was a questionable shot or we turned it over. It was about to be a turnover. And then we got the ball back. And I thought that was key because if you don't, then it runs out. Then it does. It's hard for those guys at that point to say, okay, we're still right here. Whereas we got that ball back. I think we ended up scoring on that one, and it just settled some things down. But, Michi's voice was really good. I heard some other guys talking too, saying some more. We talked about encouragement of one another and the different ways that you can encourage someone, and you can encourage someone in a pretty aggressive way if they need it sometimes too. And so I did feel like there was more of that. Our huddles were better. I said we got destroyed in the Arkansas game on the huddle situations. I mean, we were just on our own island, and these guys in this day and age, they're not selfish, but everything in their lives has revolved around them. They are self-centered in the most realistic, actual way that's not selfish, but they are used to everything being revolving around them. And so when they do anything, the first, second, and third thing they're thinking about is themselves and how it affects them, and then how it's going to affect the next thing that they're going to do. And so getting out of that and changing some of that, I think, is important for us. And so I thought there were some real strides made on that. But we had a lot of guys saying some stuff, but Michi certainly was a very calming voice with his teammates.
It's interesting, that last part of that with the whole thing about the huddles and guys off on their own island and guys worried about themselves. And it sounds like Lamont's having a tough time getting these guys
to buy in
and bond as a team and be part of a team concept. And look, again, this is the risky run, Jalen, when you bring a bunch of new dudes in. Sometimes, again, Indiana, it all meshes great.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like Lamont's still kind of trying to get this thing together. We're 18 games into the season, and that conversation, you sit there and you go, Lamont's still fighting that thing, and it's getting late early.
This is not really the time to, figure stuff out in the middle of the conference play, which is a gauntlet heading into the SEC tournament. You should have had this figured out. You had a whole break. Christmas break to figure this out.
This is when you start to, this kind of stuff starts when you first get together to even play pickup ball when there's no coaches. You get together, you start running together, you learn how to play with each other, you kind of learn how to get some kind of chemistry / bond together. Yeah. Then you get to the practices, and then that's where more of it happens. 18 games in, we shouldn't be having these conversations.
And I'm not going to compare. I mean, it's not a really good comparison, but the difference with what Dawn Staley had to deal with having injuries, she went out and grabbed someone from the other side of the damn pond in Alicia Tornabes and brought her over, and she's actually contributing to the team. Lamont doesn't have that luxury, but for her to do that and to get her current players in the middle of the season to buy in the way that they're doing, where is that energy from Lamont Paris and this team? We got to see some type of change happen really quick here.
Well, tonight, depending on how you see this, Oklahoma's in town, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip here on The Game in Columbia and our affiliate 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. Ken Palm has this as a game South Carolina should win by their computer analytic projections. ESPN's matchup predictor has Oklahoma as a slight favorite, 53% to 47%. The Sooners are 1.5 point favorites. So this is one South Carolina has a shot to win. So we'll see how this thing goes tonight against an Oklahoma team who's been allergic to defense all year. Really weird. Porter Moser's squads at Loyola of Chicago were teams that really guarded you. This Oklahoma team, they have no desire to even talk about defense. So that's tonight, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip right here. All right, a drive around the SEC is coming up next here on the postgame show. Terry Ford, Jalen running the board on the game.